Hello everyone. Today we will learn how to create class and object. Before going into the concept, we will revise the main 4 object-oriented programming concepts. The 4 object-oriented programming concepts are abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. As we know, abstraction means hiding. Encapsulation is wrapping up of data and code. That encapsulation we are going to discuss here in this class. How to implement encapsulation using class. Inheritance means inheriting the properties of one class by another class. Polymorphism means many forms. So today the main concept is encapsulation. Class, simply we can define class as a collection of objects, or else we can also define class as a template of an object. Syntactically, when we implement class in Java programming language, we can also define class as collection of data and code or member variables and member methods. Class can also be called as a data type. That is, whenever you create a class, you are creating a new data type. So whenever you create an object, you are creating an object of that particular data type, that is class type. So general form of a class, whenever we create a class, we need to specify the data and code. Simple class contains only data, but actually real class should contain both data and code. So now let us see how to create a class in Java programming language. The syntax to create a class, a keyword called class is used here. So according to syntax, first you need to mention the keyword class by giving a space. After that you need to mention the class name. The class name should start with a capital letter. After that, we need to mention a flower brace, open flower brace. As we already mentioned, class contains 2 parts, that is member variables and member methods. So here we need to first declare all the variables related to the class, and next we need to define the methods. So there is a syntax again separate for mentioning the methods, but regarding variables, we need to mention the data type of the variable, space the variable name. After that continuation, you are going to define the methods. So this is the syntax of class. Again I repeat, the data or variables defined within a class are called member variables or instance variables. So the code is contained within the methods. As we already mentioned that encapsulation is wrapping up of data and code. So class is also wrapping the data and code. So using the class we are implementing the encapsulation. So collectively the methods and variables defined within a class are called members of the class. In most classes the instance variables are acted upon and accessed by the methods defined for the class. So variables defined within a class are called instance variable because each instance of the class contains its own copy of these variables. Let us see more clearly with an example. So see here we are defining a class student. So here we have just mentioned the member variables. As I said, some classes may contain only data. So here we took 2 member variables, that is one is a roll number which is of integer type, one is the name of the student that is of string type. So here note this point that int is a keyword, so it is in lowercase. String is a class name, so S starts with a capital letter. As I said, class name should start with a capital letter. So string is a predefined class. Here we are defining the student class. Here also you need to note that here in student S is capital. This is the conventional note point that we need to remember while defining the class. So this is how to define a simple class. So all methods have general form as main, but only one class should contain main, and that class will be the starting point of that program. However, most methods will not be specified as static or public. We will got to know what is the static and public when we really starting implementing the classes as Java programs. So Java class, all classes do not need to have a main method, but we need to specify only for the class which we want to maintain as a starting point of execution. So this is another example. here we are defining a class called box. See, the keyword we have used is class. After that we have mentioned the class name as box, where B is capital. That is a conventional note point to be remembered and to be satisfied. And after that we are opening the flower brace, and we have mentioned the 3 member variables. Again, this class also contains only member variables. So here we took 3 member variables of double data type, that is width, height and depth. As stated, a class defines a new type of data. In this case, the new data type is called box. It is important to remember that a class declaration only creates a template. We don't have any values. So it does not create an actual object. Thus, the preceding code does not cause any objects of type box to come into existence. We are just creating a template called box class. Now we will see what happens when we create an object. After that we will discuss the syntax to create an object. See, now what we have done is we just created a template called box. It is not a real one. There are no values, so it is just a template. So this can be represented as mentioned in the slide. When we create an object with a particular name, we are creating an object of type box. When we successfully create an object, what happens here is the memory will be allocated for the set member variables. As I said, these are called instance variables. Whenever you create an object, then only the memory will be allotted for that variables, and that variables will be referenced with the help of the object. So here box is a template or a new data type. My box is an object. When successfully my box object is created, the memory will be created and linked with the my box object. So next we will see how to create an object and how to access those instance variables of that particular object. So as I said, every box object will contain its own copies of the instance variables, as we have seen in the last slide that my box object, a memory will be allocated for width, height and depth member variables. To access these variables, we will use an operator called dot. The dot operator links the name of the object with the member variables or instance variables. So here is an example of creating an object. For example, here already we have seen this template box class. So this is the one, and next see, in this box class there is no methods. This simply we are defining the member variables. But another thing to be remembered is in a Java program there may be one or more classes. So here see, in this Java program we have 2 classes. One is the template that we have defined, and another one is the starting point of your program execution. So see here in the next class we have defined the main method. So this is a signature of the main method. It is a public method. It is a static one. We don't need any object to start this, invoke this main method. And void means it returns nothing. And if we want to pass any command line arguments, the string args. Through the string arguments you can pass the command line arguments. The next point is most important one. This is the sentence or statement which is used to create an object. So the syntax is, first you need to mention the class name. So the box, next space you are going to mention the object name, that is my box, is equal to, this new is an operator. What this new operator is going to do is, this operator is going to allocate memory space for the instance variables. Next what we have mentioned is a box method. What is this box method? For present we call it as a constructor. What this constructor method is going to do is, it is going to initialize the variables, instance variables for that particular object with the default values. That is, whenever you create myBox object, as you know, for the myBox object we will have the 3 instance variables, height, width and depth, which is of double data type. New operator is going to allocate memory for those 3 things, and box constructor is going to initialize these 3 variables with the default value as 0.0. And next what we are doing is, we are printing the height, width and depth, the default height, width, depth values. So with the help of this println method we are displaying the height. of the object my box. See how to access the member variables. You are going to mention the object name and followed by dot operator and the member variable name my box dot height. Next you need similarly my box dot width and my box dot depth. So this is simple program how to create object and how to access the member variables of the method. So see, again I'll repeat how to create an object. The syntax is, first you need to mention the class name for which type object you want to create. Next you need to mention the object name is equal to new is an operator and box is the constructor. So constructor is a special method which is of same type as class type. So after this statement executes, what happens is my box will be an instance of the class box, thus it will have a physical reality. That is, the memory will be allocated and the default values will be assigned. And this is another example. Similar to box, we are creating employee class. Here for a simple understanding, what I have done is, we are just mentioning the member variables. We will see the methods in the next part. So here we took 3 member variables, employee ID, name and salary. Depending upon the type, we have mentioned the data type for employee ID as int, for name we have mentioned it as a string, salary the data type is double. And see the next sentence is the syntax to create an object of type employee. So what is the syntax? I will just repeat, you practice again along with me. First you need to mention the class name, next object name is equal to new is operator after followed by space, and next you have to mention the constructor. So constructor name is same as the class name. So when you execute this particular statement, what happens is emp1 object will be created with these 3 instance variables with the default values. What will be the default value for emp id? As it's an integer, it will be 0. For string, that is name variable, the default value will be end of the string value, that is /0, null character. Salary, the default value will be 0.0. So that's all about the class and object creation. Today we got to know the syntax to create a class and how to create object. Hope you understand, and there is a small task for you. So you need to create a class for book with only variables that is similar to that box and employee, and also create an instance of this class, means an object. So give it a try. Thank you. Meet you again in the next class.